The Witcher 4 was first announced back in March 2022, and since then we haven't had much new information, but I've spent my time, I'm very much excited for this game, so I've gone round, gathered as much information as possible, and we're going to be sharing absolutely everything within this video. So firstly, it won't be called The Witcher 4. We don't know what this game will be called. As of right now, it's being codenamed Polaris, so some are saying The Witcher Polaris, but it's unlikely that to be the final name in itself. Reason for this is because what we had before with the trilogy with Geralt is no longer gonna be the case. This is gonna be its own standalone. This is going to be the next version of the story with completely new characters, which we don't actually know who it is as of yet. So from CD Projekt Red, they've said that by calling it The Witcher 4 gives the idea that it's following off from The Witcher 3, when that's never going to happen. That's not the plan. It's going to have its very own story arc, new characters, but there may be a bit of a crossover. It's still going to be within the exact same universe. So the title for this video, which is The Witcher 4, is unlike anything you've ever seen. Well, just also know that that is a placeholder. It's not going to be called The Witcher 4. But on the basis of keeping it easy and not confusing anyone throughout this video, we're going to still call it The Witcher 4. And on that, hoping that it doesn't make it even more confusing, but because The Witcher 4 will be its own separate story, CD Projekt Red are not just looking to create a single standalone game. They're actually intending this to be another trilogy, a new story arc within the universe. So alongside CD Projekt Red announcing The Witcher 4, they've also announced The Witcher 5 and also The Witcher 6. Now we know less about 5 and 6 than what we do about 4, even though with 4 we have very limited information, but just know that this is going to be a game which opens up more of the world for more story within future titles. The biggest thing with the new Witcher games is that they will be under a completely new engine. With the previous Witcher titles and also Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt Red used the Red engine. This is what supported them to make these massive open worlds with the depth that they go into. But they're changing it up. With The Witcher 4, they are going to be using Unreal Engine. For Polaris, we are preparing technologies. This is the first project to be released on a new engine, Unreal 5. There is a need of some extra work to make this technology viable for huge open world story-driven games. So for this project, for sure, we need some extra effort to deliver. The second and the third installments should go smoother as technology will be better and the tools in the pipeline will be there. But this is all I can say for now. That quote stands out to me mainly because firstly, it does confirm what we've already said. Unreal Engine plus also the other installments to the series once they finish The Witcher 4. Yeah, again, codename Polaris. But this also affects the release date because if they were just to pick up where they last left off with Red Engine, they can already use what's already there. They're going to have loads of assets and they're going to be able to easily move them across. Well, easier than completely starting from scratch. We see this quite a lot within the gaming industry, whether or not a new company or a studio has just set up and they're working on their very first title, or maybe it's a company or studio that has been around for some time, but they're starting a completely new title. When they go for it the very first time, it takes a lot more time. There's a lot more effort that needs to go into it because they're building and implementing systems the very first time. But once they're completed, it makes life a hell of a lot easier by the time it comes to their second and also their third and any other titles that they plan to release on the exact same or similar title in itself. We saw this quite recently with God of War. God of War was released within 2018, and then we had God of War Ragnarok within 2022. The development timeline was so much longer and so much harder for God of War 2018, but because they had the systems, the assets, everything within place, it became a bit easier for them to then develop God of War Ragnarok. Now with this, there were a few complaints, especially in release, of certain animations looking the exact same. I think that's still kind of ridiculous. Yes, they were the same animations, but to be that picky, especially when they shortened development timeline and pushed out a very good game, yeah, it's one of those. and in the way in which CD Projekt Red are going about it with The Witcher, I yet again think it's going to be a good choice. As you may already be aware, considering we're more than halfway through this video and we haven't shared any trailers, that's because there isn't any. Although we do have this image of a medallion within the snow, but it's unlike what we've been able to see from previous Witcher titles. When this was first revealed, it was just described as a cat-like medallion, which is very different to the medallion that Geralt wears, which is a wolf. And then it wasn't long after that it was confirmed that this medallion, which has been described as cat-like, is a lynx. Now, what's really interesting about this is that there hasn't been any reference within the books or the games to a lynx. However, there has been fan theories. However, it's unlikely for CD Projekt Red to base a full story arc for The Witcher 4, 5, and 6 based entirely off a fandom. Especially considering that in this fandom, the School of the Lynx was formed from two characters that can die as part of some of those endings within The Witcher 3. And remember, with this, The Witcher 4 is going to be within the exact same universe, but it's not going to be following straight from Geralt. In fact, we don't know how things are going to plan out. Remember that there was also around 40 different endings for The Witcher 3 and Geralt's story, most of them having him retiring. He is getting to that age where he needs to pretty much end it, spend the last remaining days. He is getting to that point of where he is too old. That was all done on purpose within the story itself. So to base it exactly off Geralt's, they can't do, but they're still going to use the exact same universe and the events that took place. They can't take all 40, but considering they're going for a brand new story, for those which are variables, they can easily avoid them whilst focusing on other aspects. So one of these is a bit of a contradiction. How CD Projekt Red handle this, we're really not too sure. There could be one real ending and the rest are just there. Very similar to what GTA 5 was intended to do, where there is one real ending, but the other ones, they're just there if you want to go through. It was actually said that Rockstar were going to continue to push story DLC for GTA 5 after the events of the story. And with that, they were going to base it off that one true ending where all three characters survive. But of course, that never happened. And of course, with that, I'm sort of rambling a bit, but I just wanted to give you an example. Just because Rockstar were going to do it doesn't mean that CD Projekt Red are going to take the exact same path. But that is one of the options. And with all of that, it brings us to our final point, which is the release day. And we've been told that we shouldn't expect it anytime before 2025. But that also doesn't mean that it's going to happen within 2025. We still need our very first official reveal trailer, and then we're gonna need a bit more details in terms of gameplay, story, characters, pretty much the build up and hype to any game. We should also highlight that with the release of Cyberpunk 2077 back in 2020, that it wasn't good. Let's just say that. And of course, with this going back round, using a very popular title that CD Projekt Red have already worked on and seen a lot of success, they are definitely not going to want to drop the ball this time. So even though they say not to expect it anytime before 2025, I'm still holding out for a few years after that as well, because I really see them wanting to get this one perfect, not having a release like last time. Over the last year and a half, CD Projekt Red have certainly put the work in to make Cyberpunk 2077 way better than what it was on release, and even started to bring fans back, which is in most cases within gaming unheard of. It's very difficult to do this. And I'm sure that they now see this as a way that they definitely have the ability to hold fans, to bring them back, to create content that has hype and is enjoyable. They just need to work on the release. I'm sure they're going into that with The Witcher 4 and then ultimately 5 and 6. But so far, this is everything that we know about The Witcher 4, also not called The Witcher 4, but remember, as said, this is just an easy way to explain it. But anyway, this is absolutely everything we know about The Witcher 4. If you enjoyed this video, then I highly recommend clicking this video right here. That video has been specifically selected just for you. YouTube tracks what you watch, and they think that one is perfect for you. So I hope you enjoy.